amazing. In fact, the word mirror comes from Latin mirari, meaning to wonder at, to admire. It's also where we get the word miracle, mirror. Mirrors reverse along axes perpendicular to their surfaces, like left and right. They don't also flip things upside down. They don't also reverse up and down because those directions are parallel to the surface of the mirror. What if, instead of a rectangular prism, the room was a sphere? Let's pretend you begin with your face up against a wall of the sphere and float backward toward and past the center. You would see your face quite clearly. The surrounding reflections would be very distorted. As you moved away, at a certain point your face would cease to shrink away and appear smaller in the mirror. As you continued on past the center, your image would flip upside down and continue receding away. It would look a bit like this.
That the Earth is a spherical object that revolves around the Sun. But the fact is, of course, that the Earth is a circular dish surrounded by a barrier of ice that explorers like Andrea Barnes have been attempting to penetrate for centuries. The argument, for all practical purposes, came to an end when the Church of England was established by law during the 16th century. They rejected many laws of the ancient Catholic Church, and to appear forward-thinking, they embraced many radical scientific notions prevalent at the time, including Copernicus' round Earth theory. With this endorsement, the theory found its way into the schools, which were then largely controlled by the Church. It has remained there to this day, and many children have accepted it without question. But in spite of the mathematical evidence, any further attempts to restore belief in the flat Earth seem doomed by one of the supposed great moments in modern scientific achievement. At last, after thousands of years of uncertainty, man was able to get far enough away from the Earth to have a good look at it in all its resplendent beauty. It did appear curved, and photographs were brought back for all to see. However, according to experts, these photographs are much less conclusive than one might think.
This is so ridiculous. I can't believe that they give this to the public and they just eat it up. What do people think when they read this shit? Why can't we have an actual picture of the Earth from space? Why do we have to have this fucking composite bullshit? They have to construct this shit. Why can't they put actual photos? When I was talking earlier about thousands of photos of Earth from space, I was actually talking about literal photographs of the Earth from space, not composite bullshit. Well, I don't know what to say to this. This is so fucking ridiculous. I'm starting to become speechless because they actually present this shit to the public. And it's fucking sad. What the hell? Well, here I thought they were actually gonna say that this is a picture of the Earth from space. But alas, no. Billions of dollars can't do that. This is a photo-like image. Wow, it's almost like a photo. That's great, NASA. How long did it take you to make this image? Well, of course they're gonna throw this in there. I don't know what to say anymore. This is so fucking ridiculous. This composite image, which you'll be seeing your entire life from the Blue Marble series. What is the Blue Marble series? Is this the fucking Blue Marble series? This is so fucking stupid. It's not even a real picture of the Earth. They admit they put this together, and you see it all the time. Search Earth from space in the image search, and this will come up 100 fucking times. I was scrolling up to show you more of that composite, and here's the Apollo 17 image now. Somebody manipulated it a bit in a paint program. It's still the Apollo 17 image. It looks different. What is up with the people that they can't figure out that there's no pictures of Earth from space? You have any idea how many times this image has been modified? It's fucking insanity. There's supposed to be billions of people on this planet. Why can't they figure out that there's no pictures of Earth from space?
Spun round once every 24 hours, a little bit of calculations will show that that person there is being spun round at about 1,000 miles an hour and it doesn't know it. I mean, this is obvious nonsense. You go on a merry-go-round and it goes, I doubt, more than 10 miles an hour, and you get off all dizzy. You mean to tell me that people can be spun round at approximately 1,000 miles an hour and not know it? Why, if this is so, this whole room that we're in, it is supposedly being spun round at something of approximately that order of speed, and we don't know it.
Through time-lapse photography, the velocity of these clouds has been dramatically increased. While they were actually drifting over the mountains at approximately 27 miles per hour, they now have the appearance of moving at well over 100, 4 times their normal speed. If the clouds were stationary and the Earth was revolving underneath them, this is how it would appear if the Earth was spinning at 100 miles per hour. Yet we're told that the Earth is spinning at 10 times that speed. By November of 1938, Andrea was prepared for her second attempt to reach the edge. A consortium of financiers were providing her with a plane and a large enough crew to make a legitimate go of it. And so, once again, an optimistic Andrea found herself in Antarctica. And once again, fate was against her. A freak spring blizzard took them by surprise. They were unable to leave base camp, much less make a trip to the edge. The entire expedition was very nearly wiped out. That was the last attempt Andrea made until 23 years later, when she set off alone by snowmobile in 1961. Until recently, that was the end of the story. Early this year, a researcher stationed in Antarctica to study weather patterns found a snowmobile partially buried in a snowbank. It had run out of fuel and there were no signs of Andrea anywhere. But he did find these, a camera and a note. The note says only, "I have been there. The debate finally comes to an end. Signed, Andrea B." It had survived the frozen elements for nearly 30 years. Unfortunately, the researcher inadvertently opened the camera, exposing the film inside. Any pictures were lost, and Miss Barnes' trip is still very much shrouded in mystery. There was no description of what she had seen or how far away it was. But if we are to believe the note, then Andrea Barnes was very likely the first person in history to visit the edge of the Earth.
I know who you are.
Looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any. remember seeing any.
There's no inside structure. Yeah, there's only a surface. There's nothing inside.
Is the sun actually combusting?
It's not burning anything. There's no fusion in the sun. That's well understood. It's a transformer. Light. There is no light until there's a material object. So that means there's no time delay. So the whole time delay thing is meaningless. It doesn't take light years. There are no light years because there's no light. So that means that the light you see from the distant stars isn't 4 million years old. It could be only minutes old. It could be instantaneous. All the theories collapse when you can't see the stars in outer space. There's no inside structure. There's only a surface.